It's 25 degrees below zero. But on this frozen lake on Will Steger's homestead, it's perfect weather for ice cutting.
40 years ago, living up here, we didn't have a lot of money, and we couldn't afford to buy propane, so we used ice. We use that ice from June right until the winter comes back in November. That's free refrigeration. You're not putting any carbon in the air.
Will Steger knows all about ice. He's traveled the polar regions for decades, and now he's dedicated his life to fighting the effects of climate change.
People believe in the dream, and so you see it out here today. I mean, people are out here working in 25 below zero, cutting ice. He somehow manages to find people who are just absolutely amazing.
My dream is to develop a community of people, an extended community. Then when you start taking action and connecting, that's where the solutions lie. This is a very important expedition that we're embarking upon. We have 4 of us from down in Minnesota here. There's Abby and Elizabeth are the educators. John Stetson's been with me for 20 years running dogs and expeditions myself. And then we have 3 Inuit hunters from the far north. Our main goal is to give the Inuit or the Eskimo people a voice, because it's their culture that's changing. They're innocent victims of global warming. I really feel that we need their voice. We need to see that global warming is real, it's affecting other people, it's going to affect us.
So their hunting season's reduced. As a result, they can't get the proper food that they used to get.
If we connect to other people, I think heart to heart, that are having situations with global warming, I think that's going to help a lot.
Teamwork and community are the cornerstones of Will Steger's homestead. They're also the core values that guide his expeditions. His latest, a 1,200-mile dog sled trek across Baffin Island. Once a remote ice-covered wilderness, Baffin Island is now inextricably linked to the modern world. And it's changing. Ice shelves once 30 feet thick are now treacherously thin. Some have melted into the sea.
The team is led by Will Steger and also by Theo Ikamak, who's our Inuit leader. It's not like some of Will's previous expeditions that were to be the first to the pole or to cross Antarctica. The goal of it is to spread the word to people about global warming, and there's no better place to do it than Baffin Island. It's really ground zero of climate change.
Will Steger is one of a kind, absolutely. I can't say I've really worked with anybody else like him. He's an optimist, and he's not thwarted by boundaries that other people set for him.
We could not do this project without the help of our sponsors. Shaklee's been working with Will for 20 years and has made these expeditions possible.
I believe that businesses have a huge moral obligation to lead the way with global warming, and I think we're seeing that. And I think Shaklee is a great example of that. Shaklee is on board 100%. They've done an incredible amount of work on our education.
My name is Abby, and this is Elizabeth, and we are the 2 education members on the expedition. So our job every day is to send back stories from the trail.
The goal of the expedition is to talk to the people who live up here, to talk to elders and young people like yourselves and hunters, and ask them, what types of changes have you seen in the climate? You'd be scared of polar bear like going, rah! Yeah, right. These girls can throw sing. Will you do it? Not only are we affecting our lives, our culture, but also all the other living things on the planet. Wow! The climate is changing more rapidly and more dramatically here than anywhere else, and it's partly to do with it being in the Arctic. The Arctic as a whole is warming, but also the way that the air currents and the water currents go around Baffin Island.
The sea ice of Baffin Island continues to melt, and along with it, a rich culture that has survived for thousands of years may be vanishing.
In my hometown area near Pannattu, hunters are not able to get out because of the changes that have been happening over the last 9 years, the ice conditions. And we've had people tragically die because of those conditions. And those are our expert hunters.
When it comes time for the ice to form, it gets overcast like this. So therefore the ice is not forming either from the cold or from the insulation. So it's a two-way process where the ice is not forming. If you look at our culture, it has been practiced for the last 6,000 years. And all of a sudden, it's not being used because the ice is not forming and the animals are changing. So therefore, we have to change everything. And that pretty much happened overnight. What we find is what happens in the north pretty much touches the world.
One needs to peel off enough rope to adjust their tent.
One that's folded up.
Will Steger's 7-person, 4-sled, and 40-dog team will circle Baffin Island over the course of 4 months.
Need that much food because you have walrus or seal, then you should leave a box behind.
Is this a good trail? Then this trail is there?
That's brutal. You can't do that. So Tar Inlet, it's a nice smooth entry, but because of the whole global warming, there's not enough snow, and so we have issues here.
Because it's been so warm here and very little snow, the conditions are tough getting out of town. In other words, there's a lot of rocky areas, very difficult for the sleds, so we had to change the route considerably. Let's see here. Perfect day. Absolutely.
Under clear skies and facing a bitter west wind, the Steger expedition begins its historic 4-month trek to some of the most remote Inuit villages on Earth.
Surviving up here is very different than living in southern Canada or in the United States. It's very different.
We might not even be able to turn it back, but if we can stabilize it, if we can make sure that the winters are here every year, then that's something big that we have done.
Yeah. That's what happened. Do you think we need to get another sled?
So therefore, if you change, let's say, your light bulb, use less energy, then you're already helping. So therefore, it doesn't take very much to help. Little things like that.
I don't have the answer, but it's up to you guys to make that change.
We really don't have to sacrifice a lot, but we have to do things smarter. People are going to be drawn to doing things the right way. But we've got to adapt. There's going to be some major changes coming, but people can evolve, and we will still have better years to come.